Hi, and welcome to her kingdom. A grandmother and her young granddaughter finds themselves in a shelter, forced to face the harsh truth of betrayal by the one person they thought they could trust. What happens next changes everything. Well, here we go.
My name is Karin Reeves. I am 68 years old. I always thought I raised a good son. I thought I knew my own flesh and blood, but I was wrong. 3 months ago, I was standing in a line. Not a line for a movie or a sale at the grocery store. I was standing in a line for vegetable soup at the city homeless shelter. My granddaughter Maya was holding my hand. She is only 6. She shouldn't know the smell of industrial floor cleaner and old bread. She shouldn't have to sleep on a plastic cot with a thin wool blanket, but that was our life. My daughter Ruth passed away 4 years ago. Maya is all I have left of her. When my husband died last year, I thought we would be safe in our family home on Hawthorne Street. It wasn't a mansion. Just a small, white house with a porch, but it was ours. Then my son, Cody, came to me. He told me the bank was taking the house. He said the taxes were too high. He told me I was broke. I trusted him. He is my son. Why would a son lie to his mother? I spent 10 hours today scrubbing office floors. My back ached. My feet felt like lead. I just wanted to sit down. The soup line moved slowly. Maya looked up at me with her big, tired eyes. Grandma, is it almost our turns? I squeezed her hand. Almost, honey, just a few more minutes.
Karin Reeves, what on earth are you doing here? Why aren't you living in the house on Hawthorne Street?
I felt the blood drain from my face. I felt small, ashamed. I pulled my old cardigan tighter around my chest. Mr. Henderson, we had to leave, my son Cody. He told me the taxes were too high. He said the estate was in debt. He said he had to sell the house just to keep us out of jail. Mr. Henderson stepped around the counter. He didn't care about the soup anymore. He grabbed my shoulders.
Sell it. Karin, listen to me. That house was left in a protected trust. It belongs to you and Ruth's daughter. I filed the deed myself after your husband passed. It is legally impossible to sell that house without your signature. Did you sign anything?
No, I just moved out when he told me to. I thought he was helping me.
Helping you? Karin, that house hasn't been sold. I drove past Hawthorne Street yesterday morning. The garden is beautiful. There is a luxury SUV in the driveway. A young family is living there. They aren't owners. They are renters.
Renters. One word. It hit me harder than a physical blow. While I was counting pennies for bus fare, while Maya was crying because she missed her own bed, my son was playing landlord. He didn't lose the house, he stole it. I looked down at Maya. She was watching us. She didn't understand the legal words, but she knew I was trembling. Is something wrong, Grandma? She whispered. I took a deep breath. The air in the shelter felt different now. It felt cold. The sadness I had been carrying for months started to turn into something else. It turned into a quiet, burning heat in my chest. Mr. Henderson reached into his pocket and pulled out a card. Come to my office at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, he said. Don't tell Cody, don't call him, just come to me. I took the card. My fingers didn't shake this time. I looked at the soup in the plastic bowl. I looked at the gray walls of the shelter. For months, I believed I was a failure. I believed I had lost everything because I wasn't smart enough to manage money. But I wasn't a failure, I was a victim. My son had left his mother and his orphaned niece on the street so he could collect a check. Cody and his wife, Vicky, were having a big anniversary dinner in 3 days. They invited me, but I told them I was too busy because I was embarrassed of my clothes. I was embarrassed of my life. Well, I'm not embarrassed anymore. I am going to that party. and I'm not going for the cake. Cody thinks I'm a weak old woman who will believe any lie he tells. He thinks I'm finished. He is wrong. I looked at Mr. Henderson and nodded. We'll be there. If you have ever been betrayed by the person you loved most, if you have ever been made to feel like you don't matter. I couldn't sleep that night. The shelter was loud. Someone was coughing. A baby was crying down the hall, but all I could hear was the sound of my son's voice. I closed my eyes. I went back in time. It was 6 months after my husband, Arthur, died. I was sitting at my kitchen table on Hawthorne Street. The sun was hitting the yellow curtains. I was grieving. I was weak. Cody walked in. He didn't knock. He had a stack of papers in his hand. Vicky was right behind him. She was wearing a new silk scarf. Mom, Cody said. He looked so sad. He sat down and took my hand. We have bad news. Dad didn't leave things the way we thought. I remember What do you mean, Cody? I asked.
The taxes, the medical bills. The estate is underwater, Mom. If you stay here, the city will sue you. You'll lose everything, even your social security.
I didn't know about taxes. Arthur always handled the business. I was just a grandmother. I was a wife. I trusted my son to be my eyes. Vicky lined in. She smelled like expensive perfume. Rose.
We found a tiny studio for you, Karen. It's near the bus line. It's safer. We'll help you pack. We'll take the burden of this house off your shoulders.
They called it a burden. My home, where I raised my children, where Ruth's height was marked on the pantry door in pencil. A burden. I believed them. Why wouldn't I? He is my boy. I changed his diapers. I cheered at his games. I thought he was protecting me from the big, scary world of debt. So I packed. I gave away my mahogany dresser. I sold my good china for pennies. I moved Maya into a room that was smaller than my old walk-in closet. The studio rent went up, Mom, he lied. I can't cover the difference anymore. Business is slow. You might need to find alternative housing. Alternative housing. That is a fancy word for nowhere. That was how we ended up here, in a shelter, washing my underwear in a communal sink. But then I remembered something else. 2 weeks after I moved out of Hawthorne Street, I went back. I forgot my sewing kit. I thought the house was empty. I saw my neighbor, Mrs. Gable. She has lived next door.
Karen, I thought you were gone for good. Cody told me you moved to a retirement resort in Florida. He said you wanted a fresh start.
Florida, no, Mrs. Gable. I'm just across town, in a smaller place.
Well, the new people seem nice. Very quiet. They moved in so fast. I see them carrying groceries in every Thursday. Big bags, organic stuff.
I didn't ask questions then. I was too embarrassed. I thought Cody was renting it just to pay off the debts he talked about. Now, lying on this cot, the truth finally clicked. There were no debts. My husband was a careful man. He was a veteran. He saved every nickel. He would never have left me in a hole. Cody didn't move me out to save me. He moved me out to clear the way. Every month, those nice people Mrs. Gable saw, they were writing a check. $2,000, maybe $3,000. That money wasn't going to taxes. It was going into Cody's pocket. It was paying for Vicky's silk scarves. It was paying for their fancy dinners. While Maya ate lukewarm soup from a tin tray, my son was getting rich off my front porch. I looked at the ceiling. The paint was peeling. I felt a surge of anger. It was so strong it made my stomach flip. How could a man look at his mother and his dead sister's child and decide that a luxury SUV was more important than our safety? He traded my life for a rental agreement. He used my grief as a weapon. He knew I wouldn't check the papers. He knew I would just say, "Yes, Cody, whatever you think is best." I reached under my pillow. I felt the lawyer's business card. It was crisp. It was real. Tomorrow is Friday. I am going to see Mr. Henderson. And then I am going to find out exactly how much my son thinks my life is worth. Sleep wouldn't come, but for the first time in a year, I didn't feel tired. I felt like a soldier. Cody thinks I'm a burden. He's about to find out just how heavy a mother's truth can be. The morning sun felt different. It wasn't just another day of survival. It was a day for the truth. I washed Maya's face with a cold paper towel in the shelter bathroom. I combed her hair. I told her we were going to see a friend with a big desk and very important papers. Mr. Henderson's office was quiet. It smelled like old books and expensive coffee. He sat me down in a leather chair. He gave Maya a coloring book. Then he turned.
Karen, I spent all night looking into this. I pulled the public records for the house on Hawthorne Street. Look here.
I leaned forward. My eyes aren't what they used to be, but I saw my name.
Exactly. You are the sole owner. You always have been. Your husband made sure of that, but look at the second page. This is the rental listing. The property is managed by something called CV Holdings LLC. Do you know what that stands for?
Save Cody and Vicky. I felt a cold chill. They created a company to rent.
They did more than that. I tracked the bank deposits tied to that LLC. Karen, they've been collecting $3,000 a month for over a year.
$3,000. Every single month. That is $36,000 a year. While I was scrubbing toilets for $10 an hour, while I was skipping meals so Maya could have a yogurt cup, my son was sitting on a mountain of my money. Where did the money go if the taxes were paid? Where is the rest of it? Mr. Henderson sighed. He tapped the keyboard.
They used your rent money as a down payment. They just bought a luxury condo downtown. High-rise, floor-to-ceiling windows. It cost $600,000.
My heart stopped. I remembered last Christmas. Cody came to the shelter. No, he met us at a diner. He told me he couldn't afford a gift for Maya. He gave her a $5 doll from the pharmacy. He told me he was struggling to keep his own lights on. He lied to my face. He watched his niece open a cheap toy while he was buying a penthouse.
It gets worse. I checked your Social Security deposits. Cody had himself added as your representative payee last year. He told the government you weren't mentally fit to handle your own checks. He told them you were confused. He's been redirecting your checks into his business account. You haven't seen a penny of your own retirement, Karen.
I looked at my hands. They were rough. The skin was cracked from the cleaning chemicals I used every day. I thought about my daughter, Ruth. Before she died, she asked me to take care of Maya. She trusted me. And I let my son walk all over us because I wanted to be a good mother. Because I didn't want to cause a scene.
We could go to the police today, but I think you want to see their faces first, don't you?
I thought about the anniversary dinner. Tomorrow night. The Crystal Room at the Grand Hotel. Cody and Vicky will be there. Their wealthy friends will be there. They will be celebrating 5 years of success. I looked at Mr. Henderson. I want them to see me. I want them to see what a confused woman looks like.
I'll handle the legal filings. You just find something nice to wear. I'll have a car pick you up at 7.
I walked out of that office. I didn't feel like a victim anymore. I looked at Maya. Pack your bags, sweetie, I said. Are we moving again, Grandma? She asked. I smiled, a real smile. Yes, but this is the last time we're going home. Cody thinks he is the manager of my life. And his lease on my kindness, it just expired. My phone buzzed on the metal nightstand. It was a text from Vicky. Thinking of you, Karen. Wish we could help more, but things are tight for us too. Happy anniversary to us. She used that word. She was wearing a 3-carat diamond ring. I was wearing a donated coat with a broken zipper. I looked at the screen. I didn't cry. I didn't reply. Today was their 5th anniversary. They were celebrating at the Grand Hotel. I knew the place. It has gold carpets and crystal chandeliers. Dinner there costs more than my monthly social security check. I stood up, my knees popped. I felt a strange strength in my legs. Mr. Henderson arrived at the shelter at 5 o'clock. He didn't come in his suit. He handed me a garment bag.
My wife picked this out, Karen. She said every woman needs armor when she goes into battle. There is a car waiting for you around the corner at 7.
I opened the bag. It was a navy blue dress. Simple, elegant. It looked like the woman I used to be. It looked like a woman who owned a house on Hawthorne Street. I went to the communal bathroom. I scrubbed my nails. I put on the dress. I brushed my white hair until it shone. I looked in the cracked mirror. I didn't see a homeless woman. I saw Karen Reeves. Maya was staying with Mrs. I had called my old neighbor that morning.
Of course I'll watch the little one, Karen. I couldn't believe it when you told me. Cody told everyone you were incapacitated. He said you didn't even recognize your own name anymore.
I recognize it now, Mary. I recognize everything. I dropped Maya off at the corner. I kissed her forehead. Is tonight the night, Grandma? She asked. Yes, baby, tonight we get our life back. I walked to the black Toyota Mr. Henderson sent. The driver opened the door for me. I sat on the leather seat. It was soft. It felt like a dream. As we drove toward the city lights, I thought about Cody. I remembered him as a little boy. I remembered teaching him how to ride a bike. I remembered how I always protected him from the neighborhood bullies. Who was this man now? How do you grow a heart that is so cold? He thought I was sitting in the shelter. He thought I was eating a piece of dry toast and praying for a miracle. He didn't know. The miracle was already in the car. We pulled up to the hotel. The valet looked at my old shoes, then at my dress, then at my face. He saw the fire in my eyes. He bowed his head. Welcome, ma'am. I walked into the lobby. The music was playing. The air smelled like lilies. I saw the sign on the easel, Cody and Vicky's 5th anniversary, the Crystal Room. I took a deep breath. My heart was thumping, not with fear. With purpose. I thought about Vicky's text. Things are tight. They're about to get a lot tighter, Vicky. I reached into my small purse. I felt the envelope Mr. Henderson gave me. It contained the deed. It contained the bank records. It contained the end of Cody's lies. I walked toward the heavy oak doors. I could hear the laughter inside. I could hear Cody's voice. He was giving a speech. To family, I heard him say, the most important thing in the world. I pushed the doors open. The room went silent. Vicky dropped her glass. The sound of breaking crystal. Hello, Cody, I said. I hope there's a seat for me. After all, I'm the one paying for the meal.
Mom, what are you doing here? You look different. Where is Maya? Is she okay?
I stood at the end of the table. I looked him right in the eye. Maya is with a sitter. I didn't want her to see this, Cody. I didn't want her to see what her uncle really is. I spoke to Mr. Henderson today. The name hit him like a physical punch. He stepped back. Vicky finally found her voice. She clutched her wine glass so tight.
Karen, please, this isn't the time or the place. We're in the middle of a celebration. We told you, we're looking for a cheaper apartment for you next month. We're doing our best to help you.
I looked at her silk dress. I looked at her diamond earrings. Why would I need a cheap apartment when I own a Victorian house on Hawthorne Street? My husband paid that mortgage 30 years ago. A woman at the table whispered, I thought she was in a nursing home. I turned to the guests. Is that what they told you? That I'm sick? That I'm confused? I looked back at Cody. I want to know why strangers are sleeping in my bed. I want to know why people I don't know are eating in my kitchen, while my granddaughter sleeps on a plastic cot in a city shelter.
Mom, listen, I can explain everything I did for us. The house was just sitting there. It was an investment for our future. I was going to give it all back once the market turned.
No, Cody, it wasn't an investment. It was a theft. You stole from me, but worse, you stole from Maya. You stole from the daughter of the sister you claimed to miss so much. You watched us walk into a homeless shelter, and you didn't say a word. I reached into my bag. I pulled out the papers Mr. Henderson gave me. I didn't hand them to Cody. I threw them on the table. They slid across the wood and landed right in Vicky's lap. Those are the rental records. Those are the bank statements for your LLC. And that is a copy of the deed. My name.
You can't do this here. This is our anniversary.
Your anniversary is over, and so is your management of my life. I remembered what Mrs. Gable told me. Mrs. Gable says the neighbors are asking questions, Cody. They saw the new tenants. They saw you taking the rent checks. Did you tell them your mother was dead or just crazy? Cody couldn't look at me anymore. He looked at his shoes. His hardworking friends started to get up. One by one, they left their napkins on the table and walked out. They didn't want to be part of this. I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. For months, I felt like I was drowning. I felt like I was the one who failed, but standing there in my navy blue dress, I realized I wasn't the failure. I had raised a thief, but I wasn't going. After that, I felt like an oak tree, rooted, strong. That's when the doors opened again. Mr. Henderson walked in. He wasn't wearing an apron this time. He was wearing his courtroom suit. He looked like the hand of God. He was carrying 2 blue folders. He didn't look at the guests. He walked straight to Cody and Vicky. He placed a folder in front of each of them. It was a cease and desist. It was a notice of a lawsuit. It was the end of their game. Mr. Henderson spoke in a clear, loud voice. He told the room that Cody had committed fraud. He told them that every penny of rent they had collected belonged to me. He told them the police were waiting downstairs to take a statement. Cody sank into his chair. He put his head in his hands. He didn't look like a businessman anymore. He looked like a thief who got caught with his hand in the jar. I walked over to him. I didn't feel pity. I didn't feel hate. I just felt done. I put my hand out. The keys, I said, and the records now. Vicky tried to grab the folder. She tried to rip it, but Mr. Henderson stopped her. He told her that destroying legal documents would only make her prison sentence longer. Prison. That word stopped her. Cody reached into his pocket. He pulled out a ring of keys. He set them on the table. Then, he pulled out his phone. He showed me the banking app, the account for CV Holdings. I saw the balance, $42,000, my husband's life insurance, my Social Security, the rent from my family home. It was all there while I was washing Maya's hair in a sink. They were sitting on $42,000. I took the phone. I took the keys. I turned to the guests. They were all standing now. Some looked ashamed. Some were taking videos with their phones. Good, let the world see. I remembered Mrs. Gable, my neighbor who had called me earlier. She had told me that Vicky told the neighborhood I had lost my mind. She told me they were planning to sell the house next month and move to Europe. They were going to leave me in that shelter forever. They were going to let me die in a cot. I looked at my son. You have 24 hours to get your tenant and things out of my house, I said. And if you ever come near Maya again, I will call the police myself. I walked out. Mr. Henderson followed me. The silence in that room was the loudest thing I have ever heard. We got into the car. I held the keys so tight they left marks in my palm. I didn't go back to the shelter. I went to Mrs. Gable's house. I picked up Maya. She was sleepy. She rubbed her eyes. Are we going to the cot, Grandma? She asked. I smiled. I felt a tear run down my cheek. I whispered, tomorrow. The car pulled up to the curb of Hawthorne Street. It was midnight. The street was quiet. The house looked exactly the same, but different. The porch light was on. It felt like a trap. I held Maya's hands so tight. Mr. Henderson had handled the tenants. They were a young couple, they didn't know. They had been paying Cody $3,000 every month in cash. When the police showed up at the party, Cody had called them. He moved them to his luxury condo downtown. He had to, it was that, or handcuffs. I walked up the wooden steps, my wood. I put the key into the lock, my hand was shaking. It turned with a small click. The door opened, the air inside smelled like vanilla candles and expensive floor wax. It didn't smell like me. It didn't smell like Arthur's pipe tobacco or the lavender I used to keep in the foyer. It smelled like strangers. Maya stood in the hallway. She looked around. She looked at the new rug. She looked at the modern paintings on the walls. "Grandma," she whispered, "is this really our house again?" I couldn't speak, I just nodded. I felt a lump in my throat. It was the size of a stone. I walked into the kitchen. The granite was cold. They had replaced my old table, the table where I taught Ruth how to bake bread, the table where Arthur and I drank tea for 40 years. It was gone, trashed. Because Vicky thought it was dated. I felt the anger rising again. It wasn't just the money, it was the memories. They had tried to scrub me out of my own life. Suddenly, I heard Maya's feet running. She wasn't looking at the kitchen. She was heading for the stairs. She ran up to the attic. I followed her as fast as my old legs could go. The attic was dark. It was full of boxes. Cody hadn't thrown everything away. He was too lazy for that. He had just shoved my life into the shadows. Maya was digging through a blue bin. She let out a small cry. She pulled something out. It was a bear, a small, brown, raggedy bear. It was Barnaby. Ruth had given it to her the day she was born. Maya hugged that bear. She buried her face in its fur. She started to sob, not a loud cry, a quiet, relieved, heartbreaking sound. I sat on a dusty trunk. I looked at my granddaughter. I looked at the boxes of my husband's clothes. I looked at the key in my hand. It hit me then, really hit me. I had been homeless. I had been sleeping on a plastic mat with a number on it. I had been eating watery soup in a room full of despair. And all that time, this key was in Cody's pocket. He had sat across from me at that diner. He had watched me cough. He had watched Maya's shoes fall apart, and he felt that metal key in his pocket every single day. He chose a rent check over his...
Karin, I saw Cody's truck here an hour ago. He was packing things like a madman. He looked like he'd seen a ghost. Is it true? Did he really do it?
He did it, Mary. He did all of it.
I knew it. I knew that boy had a hollow heart. I saw him taking photos of your flower beds last spring. He wasn't looking at the roses. He was looking at the for rent potential. I should have said something sooner.
It's okay. We're home now. Mrs. Gable hugged me. She smelled like peppermint and home. She left the cookies and went back next door. I locked the door behind her. I walked up to my old bedroom. The stranger's sheets were still on the bed. I ripped them off. I threw them on the floor. I found my own linens in a box in the hallway. They smelled like cedar. I made the bed. I tucked Maya in with her bear. I sat by the window. I watched the sun start to come up over Hawthorne Street. The house was quiet, but the battle wasn't finished. Mr. Henderson told me that Cody was trying to hide the money. He was trying to sell the condo before the court could freeze his assets. He thinks he can run. He thinks he can keep the profit from my pain. He is wrong. I am Karin Reeves, and I am going to take back every single penny, down to the last cent. It has been 6 months since that night at the hotel. The world looks different now. The air on Hawthorne Street is sweet. My garden is blooming, red tulips, purple iris. Cody and Vicky are gone. They didn't go to Europe. They went to a courtroom. Mr. Henderson was relentless. He showed the judge every bank statement, every lie, every penny stolen from a widow. They were forced to sell that luxury condo. Every dollar from the sale went back to me, to Maya, to the trust my husband built with his own sweat. Cody is working a basic job now. Vicky is gone. She left him the moment the money...
Karin, the neighborhood feels right again. I saw Cody's face in the local paper. People are talking. They know you stood your ground. You're a legend on this street, you know.
I'm just a grandmother, Mary. I just wanted my bed back.
No, you're more than that. You showed us that it's never too late to stop being a doormat.
I am sitting on my porch now. The wood is freshly painted. Maya is playing in the grass. She is wearing a yellow dress. She has pink sneakers, new ones without holes. She runs up the steps. She sits next to me. She smells like sunshine and dirt. Grandma, are we going to stay here forever this time? no more moving. I pulled her close. I tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. Forever and a day, Maya, this house belongs to us. It is your home, your mommy. She would have wanted you to have a garden to play in. She would have wanted you to feel safe. I'm glad Mr. Henderson found us at the soup place. He's like a superhero. He is a good man, sweetie. Me too. I'm glad he found us, but I'm even more glad I finally learned how to say no. Saying no, it was the hardest thing I ever did. We spend our lives being good. We keep the peace. We don't want to make trouble. Especially with our children, we want to believe they are better than they are. But sometimes, being a good mother means being a strong woman. It means drawing a line in the dirt. I walked back inside. I looked at the mantel. There is a photo of Arthur and a photo of my daughter, Ruth. I touched the glass. I did it, Arthur. She's safe. I realized that I hadn't just protected the house. I had protected what mattered most. My dignity, my granddaughter's future. I am 68 years old. My life is starting over, and it is beautiful. If you are listening to this, if you feel like you are drowning, if someone you love is taking advantage of your kindness, listen to me. It is never too late to fight back. Your silence will not protect you. Your peace is not worth your soul. Stand up, speak out, find your Mr. Henderson. Because you deserve to sleep in your own bed. Leave a comment below. Tell me, what would you have done if you were sitting at that anniversary dinner? Goodbye for now and stay strong.